Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. We are live this afternoon on what is a European match day. Kick-off 8 o'clock this evening in the Europa League versus Genk at Ibrox. Be interested to see how many people are there tonight. Be interested to see what the turnout is for the game, obviously after the victory over Hibs at the weekend. Be interested to see how it all comes about. It was just to play RS2 remake. Oh, wait. No worries, mate. Anyway, look. What's Res 2? I don't know. Afternoon, Janet. How you doing? So look, guys, it is obviously match day. We are looking for a return to match day. I don't know. Look, I think we've got to look at the game tonight. We'll look at the possible lineups. Is tonight a free hit? That's a key question we're going to ask today. Is it a bit of a free hit today, given the fact that obviously, more importantly, I think, the game, it's weird, isn't it? But, with the fact we're playing in Europe tonight, that the game against Livy is almost more important than the game against the Genk tonight. That game at the weekend is almost more important because of the fact that where we sit in the league. The fact that we'll have to wait till Sunday to play, the fact we'll have to wait obviously to get our get back to league football. It'd be interesting to see how that turns out. But look, is it a free pass? That's the question. Is it a free pass tonight? Is anyone actually really bothered about what the result is going to be tonight in tonight's game? Is everybody really focused on Sunday? But if we lose tonight, does that mean it's a death knell for Russell Martin? I suppose that is the question. Or Resident Evil. There you go. I am an old man, mate. Yes, I am an old man. Well done. Good spot. It's a free hit because he's going fucking nowhere fast. Look, it is almost, inevitable, isn't it? I suppose inevitable. I think as David Edgar said. I watched David Edgar on TalkSport the other day. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. But at the end of the day, look, is Russell Martin finished? I think that is the question. Is Russell Martin finished? I think he is. I think he is probably finished, unless there is a massive turnaround in the results. I think he is genuinely finished. No game is a free pass. Good performance means increased confidence and momentum, says Johnson. Is a free hit because, absolutely. Could not give two flying fucks about this European campaign, says Andy McDonald. I'd be inclined to say, look, for me, I don't, tonight's game is not important. Sunday's game is important. Getting back to winning ways in domestic football is important. I would go as far as to say, to be honest with you, that even a loss tonight, even a win tonight and then a loss on Sunday, puts him right back in the shit. Even if we were to win 2-3-0 tonight, if he then goes to loses to Livingston on Sunday, he is right back in it. He is right back in the you're getting fired in the morning mire again, for definite. We're looking at about 500. So let's have a little look. Somebody's tweeted out a little bit about tonight's availability. Current availability for this evening's Europa League game against Genk at Ibrox. Loads of availability in all stands, particularly in CD1, where there are over 500 empty seats. So it looks like there is not going to be a massive turnout tonight at the game. Seems to be there is still a genuine sense of apathy towards Rangers still from the fans, a genuine sense of apathy towards Russell Martin, a genuine apathy towards the team as well. Stu says, I hope we win. Miovski might be good in Europe for us, just need to see. Bluebells are Blue says, I'm not sure with this rhetoric that the weekend is more important. I see both as important when you consider the financial aspect of it. 350k for a win tonight won't be easy, but definitely winnable. I think we might win 3-1. My only worry is the crowd not going to be a usual European standard. You're right there, CJ Books fan. I do think that there will be a lack of Ibrox atmosphere, in terms of a European night atmosphere. If you go to most European nights at Ibrox, it is absolutely, buzzing, it is absolutely bouncing, isn't it? But I don't think that happens tonight. I really don't. Let's just win tonight, but I'm not holding my breath, says David Hutchison. Let's have a little bit of a poll then. What is the result tonight? I'm going to put that poll up in a minute. So we've got obviously Rangers win. We've got Genk win. We've got obviously draw as well as an option there as well. I think a lot depends on who he picks, on the team that he picks for tonight's game. Obviously, please get a vote in on that poll for me. A lot does depend on who he brings in tonight. I think it really does, on the lineup. I mean, I honestly believe that, if you look back across his history, in terms of, he thought we played well against Celtic. The very next game, we have a very similar team to the one against Celtic. I do honestly think that we will have a very similar team again to the one that won at the weekend. I don't think there will be a massive difference between what we see tonight in terms of the team and what we saw at the weekend. I really don't. I think there'll be very much a kind of zero change. Now, Rothwell will be back in the squad, unfortunately. So Joe Rothwell is back and available. I really hope that he isn't going to go straight back into the team. That would be really bad. That would be really bad because Joe Rothwell is not a miss. The fact that he's been out the last couple of games has not really hurt us at all. In fact, it's probably made us better. And I could just see Russell Martin doing something stupid like dropping Raskin and playing Rothwell. I really could. He's the sort of stupid thing he would do. Lyle Cameron won't be back till next week, so obviously he's not eligible to start, which I think is a massive loss. Lyle's quality. I love Lyle Cameron. I think he's a very, very good footballer. But definitely the case. Now, also he said in his presser yesterday that Sterling is doing really well, building up his fitness, but won't be involved soon. So that's not great news either. I'd love to have him back. I think Dujon Sterling is the best right back that we've got at the club. No, Janet, he's not fit yet. He's likely to be back next week. So not for this game or the Livy game, but for the week after this, he will be back in contention. Apparently Matondo is doing really well as well. I mean, who cares? I mean, genuinely, who gives a stuff if Matondo is doing really well? I personally couldn't care less. The one thing I will say is that you watch his press conferences, and I know people say, well, why do you watch his press conferences? Because he's going to try out the same old shit week in, week out. Well, I kind of have to. If I'm going to talk about the club, if I'm going to talk about the club and what Russell Martin said, I've kind of got to watch his press conferences, unfortunately. The occupational hazard. Now, the one thing, again, and he doesn't do himself any favours with this. Afternoon Coop. He says, by the end of this group phase, I expect us to be a lot better than we are now. I'm really looking forward to the challenge and I'll attack what I've got with all I've got. This is a common theme. Or by the end of this week, we'll be a very different team. By the start of the season, we'll be a very different team. By the end of the... He's constantly coming out with this crap. It's almost Philippe Clement-esque. If you remember back to, you'll see the best Rangers in October and November. I mean, he never specified what year we'd see the best Rangers, but you know what I mean. It, to me, seems to be the same stuff over and over again that he's saying. By the end of this group phase, I expect us to be a lot better. Well, didn't you say that? By the start of the league campaign? Didn't you say that by the end of the transfer window? Didn't you say that by the end of pre-season? Didn't you say that by the end of the first month of the season? You've kind of just repeated yourself over and over again, Russell. I think you really are genuinely talking a lot of shit. You are, I think, kind of treading glue a little bit. He also spoke about Andrew Kavanagh yesterday. He said Andrew Kavanagh has been great. We spent time together after the match. It's great to see someone so invested who wants the club to be successful. Shame that you don't, Russell. All the leadership has been great and all want this club to succeed. Well, if they all want the club to succeed, why don't they sack Russell Martin? That would be a major step forward for me. If you're going to actually make this club be successful, is actually get rid of Russell Martin. That would be, for me, a massive, massive step forward. It really genuinely would. But you know what? Hey, it is what it is. He is still here. And look, I'd prefer not to sack him, because if we don't sack him, that must mean he's doing something right. That he's genuinely, making progress. That's what I'd massively prefer. Of course I would. I don't want to be constantly sat here in a groundhog day existence of Rangers start the season shit. Rangers get to October, November time and sack their manager. I don't want to be constantly doing that. Of course I don't. No one does. No one does, so hey, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. But I think very much the situation is that he's still very much on last chance saloon, despite that win in the weekend. The one thing I do want to... Let me just bring this up for you, guys. Keep watching the screen. Okay, keep watching the screen. Keep watching the screen. Just keep watching this screen. Here we go. There you go. It's not for everybody, guys. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. beating Crvena Zvezda, it's not for everybody, obviously. Celtic 1-1 yesterday with Crvena Zvezda. Iheanacho scored again, which obviously makes a lot of people look very silly. But if you go back to 10th of March 2022, Rangers 3, Crvena Zvezda 0. Tavernier, Morelos and Balogun scoring the goals. Big Leon, love Big Leon, miss Big Leon. But yeah, just a reminder, guys, it's not for everybody beating Crvena Zvezda. So let's just remind them of that as the meltdown across the city continues about their start to the season. Even though they're unbeaten in the league, they're still having a meltdown over their European form, which is kind of funny. But back to tonight's game. Let's have a little quick look through. I said the crowd was my worry, Owen. You've just trumped that by mentioning Rothwell is available. Yeah, that's a massive worry, isn't it? Let's face it. Who wants Rothwell back in the team? The guy is like a tramp. Janet says no one does, Owen, but the man is incapable of running a bath. I agree with you. And look, I'll be honest with you guys. I think even if we were to lose tonight and Sunday, he's still in a job by the next international break. I don't think he gets the sack. I really don't think he gets sacked. I think he probably stays till at least Christmas. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. If you pushed me now and you said, Owen, even if we continue to play mixed football and don't do well, they got beat versus Dortmund too. They did, absolutely, Stuart. Not beating Dortmund is not for everybody. Even if you push me now and you said, Owen, realistically, what do you think will happen in terms of the managerial manager? When will Russell Martin get the sack? I don't think he will. I genuinely think he's here for the season. I genuinely do believe that no matter how bad it gets, he will stay for the season. If there's any truth, and I'm not saying that there is, to the whole Patrick Stewart, Kevin Thelwell shit that they've come out with in terms of, the fact that they're backing him 1,000,000%, then, I think genuinely that this guy is here till the end of the season. I really do. I really do think he is here till the end of the season. I don't think he gets the sack anytime soon. Even if we were to lose tonight and then lose on Sunday, I think he stays. I genuinely think he stays. Disagree with me if you want. Disagree if you want. Please feel free. But I do think that's the case. I think, given, like I said, what Thelwell said, given what Stewart said, given what the 49ers seem to be indicating, given how they were with Daniel Farker, even after he failed to get promotion for them, I don't think they sack him. I genuinely don't. And I think we could honestly come out this season having won nothing again, and the guy will still be in a job next season, at the start of next season. If we were to finish second this season, losing the semi-final of the League Cup, losing in the cup final to Celtic, for example, or losing the semi-final to Celtic, I still think he's in a job next season. I genuinely do. I do. I think that will be the case. I honestly cannot see him getting sacked. Honestly can't. Aldo says, hope we win tonight. Ugly win. I would take more. Worried about Sunday. I think we all are concerned about Livy on Sunday, which is ridiculous considering we're Rangers and they're Livy. CJ Bucks fan says we would have to get used to the fact the league is going to disappear over the next month if we are to accept Martin being here. Letting the league go is just not in Rangers fan DNA and it hurts. I agree. I 100% agree. And what I don't think Russell Martin gets, and I didn't really want to talk about Russell Martin, massively today. What I don't think Russell Martin gets is that if we were to finish second this season and we were to be single figures behind Celtic, he will present that as a win. He will present that as we've moved forward, we're going in the right direction, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that going away in Scotland and getting a point for Rangers is not a good result. Finishing second to Celtic in anything is not a good result. I don't think he understands that. He's very much in the English mindset where if you are the Southampton manager and you go away to Leeds or you go away to Sheffield United or Sheffield Wednesday or you go away to Hull or to Coventry in the league and you get a draw in the Championship, it's a good result. If you in the Premier League and you go away to Wolves or you go away to Bournemouth or Brighton or Brentford or West Ham and you get a point, it's a good result. I don't think he gets it. I don't think he understands that at Rangers that is not acceptable. And I honestly believe that even if we were to finish second this season, he will present that as a win. He will present that as Look at how we've improved. Look at where we were at the start of the season. He won't get that at Rangers, finishing second to Celtic in any competition, whether it be the Scottish Cup, the League Cup, the Glasgow Cup, the McDonald's Trophy, whatever random competition you can think of, I don't think he gets it. He genuinely doesn't get it. That finishing second to them in anything is not acceptable for Rangers. And I think he would present it as a win. I genuinely believe he's that stupid and that arrogant. I really do. What else have we got? Janet says, couldn't he give two fucks at what Stewart and Thelwell say, to be honest? Yeah, me neither. I would get rid of both of them. I think Patrick Stewart is an embarrassment as a CEO. I think he hates the fans with a passion. I think he's ready to throw the fans underneath the bus at any point he can. And as for Kevin Thelwell, I mean, you've only got to look at the disaster at Everton to see that he's not a good sporting director. What if we hammer Genk tonight and draw Sunday? Does he go? Lol, to be honest, win both. Still want him to go. Although, he doesn't go, mate. If we win tonight and draw with them at the weekend, he doesn't go. There's not a chance in hell he goes. No way. No way. He will present going to Livy as a difficult away trip on a plastic pitch after a European night on Thursday, and a draw. He'll try and present that as a win. He will. He's that narcissistic, that arrogant, that stupid. Emmy says, I'd rather see Russell turning it round than get the sack. I personally wouldn't. I'd rather see him get the sack. I would rather see him get the sack. I think he's an arrogant man. And he's a vegan lefty woke wanker. And I can't stand vegans. I can't stand lefties, and I can't stand wokes. Sharpie says, afternoon troops, I think we'll win tonight. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the game in a bit more depth in a moment, Sharpie. Although just want the arrogant shit out of our club. Stewart gives off smug vibes. He certainly does. Stewart and Thelwell to go as well, says Old. I'd love Stewart and Thelwell to go. I don't like either of them, I've got to say. I do not like Patrick Stewart, and I do not like Kevin Thelwell at all. Kevin Thelwell looks a bit simple to me. Really does. Really does. Really does. Who has Stewart actually... What has Stewart actually done wrong? Serious question. Well, if you look at the situation with Patrick Stewart, mate, he stood by Clement way too long. Should have got rid of him a lot sooner than he did. He stood by Russell Martin and said that if he's sacked, he will go as well. So he's trying to obviously blackmail the club into keeping him. Also, you know, the whole situation over the banners, straight into the Rebel Scum, target the Rebel Scum banner from the Celtic game, and the woke banner, the boats banner. He was straight away on the fans, condemning the fans, taking UEFA's side, taking the SFA's side, when Police Scotland said there was nothing wrong with either of those banners. There was no hate in it. There was no crime committed. There was nothing wrong. It did not break the law. Now, let me just put this to you. UEFA and the SFA do not run Europe or Britain, okay? There is a law in this country. There is freedom of speech. Freedom of speech in this country. We have the right to speak and to say what we want to say, providing it is not offensive, or does not incite racial hatred, or does not incite any sort of crime. You are allowed to say what you want. Now, those two banners did not break any law, and the fans had the right to unveil those banners with freedom of speech. And yet, straight away, Patrick Stewart is condemning the fans, jumping on UEFA's side, jumping on the SFA's side, slagging the fans off for the banners, criticising them for the banners, straight on their backs. Now, to me, that makes him as bad as Starmer, it makes him as bad as Swinney, it makes him as bad as any woke lefty who doesn't agree with freedom of speech. It makes him a disgrace. And to me, Patrick Stewart should be sacked today as Rangers Chief Executive Officer. Also, let's face it, he's hardly got the greatest CV in the world. People say he came from Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. He came from Manchester United, one of the worst run clubs in the world. They've spent over £1 billion and have got worse, if anything. So Stewart, for me, has thrown the fans under the bus at every opportunity he possibly can. That is not his job. He should be fighting for the fans and fighting for the club, not bowing down like some woke lefty, like some absolute disgraceful anti-freedom of speech scumbag that he is. I cannot stand the man. I get bad vibes from Thelwell, says Stuart Henderson. So do I, mate. like I said, Everton far more successful now he's gone. It's the players, it's the fans, it's anxiety, but it's definitely not me. Imagine Sir Walter looking down on Martin talking about tough away draw to Livy. Exactly, this is what I'm getting at. The point that he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand Rangers. He really doesn't. Sharpie, there's a Union and St George's flags on lampposts in my town. Makes me proud to be British. If it offends you, shouldn't be in the UK. Agreed. Jers fans hate him. They do. Yeah, look at the mess of United. Yeah, Man United are a mess. Man United are a fucking mess. They are a massive mess. And he was behind that. And like I said, Patrick Stewart, for me, shouldn't be at our football club. He really shouldn't be at our football club. Right, let's try and get on to tonight's game rather than getting on about politics and freedom of speech and all that sort of crap. Right, look, tonight's game. Look, to me, it's a game that is winnable. It is a game that is eminently... It is a game that is eminently winnable. It's a game that we should be winning because, look, Genk are no great shakes. They're not great at all, Genk. They're not a top team by any stretch of the imagination. They haven't done particularly well this season so far. If you go back over Genk's last few games, they lost 2-1 to Union Saint-Gilloise, then they've lost 1-0 to Charleroi, they drew 1-1 with Anderlecht. You've got to go back to the 31st of August for their last win, which was a 3-2 against Zulte Waregem in the league. League-wise, they're sitting in the relegation zone of the Belgian Super League. They've played 8, won 2, drawn 2, lost 4. They've scored 10, conceded 12. They're on a negative 2 goal difference. Their run of form is played 5, won 2, lost 2, drawn 1. So they're not on the best run of form. I mean, you could argue that we're exactly the same. And look, I'm not getting in. I agree with you. We are not in the best run of form either. We are not doing great either. But, at the end of the day, this is not Bruges. This is not Anderlecht. This is not Union Saint-Gilloise. This is not the Bruges team that we got absolutely hammered by. That is a good team. That is a very good team, Club Bruges. You look back, Club Bruges, obviously, they score a lot of goals. They play good football. To me, Genk are nowhere near the same standard as Club Bruges. Not a chance. Not a chance. I put the video out at the start of the week, didn't I? That the members, obviously, you got to watch first, and then the next day I released it to everybody. By the way, some absolute fucking knob on there. I mean, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was an absolute knob criticising it, the video. Anyway, there we go. Look, I think tonight he's got to go attacking. Look, we can all talk about, possibly how the weekend is more important. We can talk about that. We can talk about the fact that, that we honestly look at it and we think, I'd rather beat Livy. I'd rather beat Livy. And perhaps we need to rest some players tonight because tonight is not as important. But, for Russell Martin, tonight is as important as the weekend. He's not going to rest players. He's not going to leave players out because he knows that, obviously, if he loses tonight, the pressure is straight back on. The pressure is straight back on. At the end of the day, I think when he believes his team's played well, as he does from the weekend, he believes that he goes with a very similar team, doesn't he? He goes with a very similar side to the one that played previously. No, Kings, I'll go over that. I'll come back to your point in a minute, mate. I'll come back to your point in a minute. But yeah, I think he will go with a very similar team to what he played over the weekend. I think we may see one change, possibly. King says, if we lose, does he go tonight? No, mate. I'd nowhere fast, mate. Like Rangers. Johnson says, I think Rangers can win tonight. However, a note of caution, Genk were above Bruges going into the split last season. That was last season, I suppose. Yeah, teams change. CJ Bucks fan says, I thought when the draw was made, and definitely after Hearts, that we would get turned over by them, and I may have fallen into the only one game trap, but I'm actually very confident. Janice says, we shouldn't have to rest players to beat Livy. We are becoming a joke. I agree. Now, look, this is the team. It's not a team I would pick. I would pick a very different team to that, but I don't pick the team. So I'm trying to go on keeping it to what he might do. Someone tell me how Martin is an improvement over Clement, says Vinman90. No, he isn't, mate. He's not an improvement over Clement. Clement, it was a bad manager, but he's not as bad as mine. Clement was boring, but he's not as bad as mine. So to me, we've actually done a ridiculously bad job. When you sack a manager, you're supposed to bring in a manager who's better than the one you've just sacked. We've kind of gone, hold my beer, I'll get you a shitter one. I don't know how. So anyway, my team for tonight, obviously, I would obviously go with Jack. Obviously, Jack Butland's got a start in goal. Jack is a superstar. Jack has been brilliant this season. He really is. He's done really, really well. Thank you, Emmy, for the £2 donation. $2. Thank you very much. Emmy, where in the States are you? Where in the United States of America are you? Let me know. Love the States. United States of America, one of my favourite countries in the world. Love that place. I'd definitely give Curtis a full start tonight, says Kings. I would too, mate. Look, as I said, I'm going off. Not if I was picking the team, I would start Curtis. Yes, Stuart, I can't believe we've only got one left back. I can't believe we've only got one left back. I genuinely can't believe that we've only got one left back at all. So yeah, I would start Curtis tonight, but I don't think he will. I think he sticks with, like I said, the team that he has kept with. I don't believe that he will change the team massively for me tonight, and that's why I've gone with that. Whitestone, New York. Fantastic, mate. Are you a Jets or a Giants fan? Clement with the 49ers backing would have us look better than we are tonight. I mean, Subbo, that's a brilliant point. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I honestly think that if we had the 49ers back, if we had the 49ers when Clement was here, then I think we probably would be doing better. I think Clement, with a proper director of football, with a proper budget, never green. I honestly think you're a Giants fan. I honestly believe that he would have done a lot better because he would have had money. I think could you imagine it? He's sitting there looking at this situation now, Clement, and he didn't have a pot to piss in, did he? He was never given the money. He never was. Look, yes, he wasn't the best manager. Of course he wasn't. But I honestly believe that he would have been better with money. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe it would have been. But getting back to my point, I would play Curtis, but I just don't think he'll start Curtis. That's why I've kind of gone as I have done, with this team. So there we go. Hopefully Ant-Man plays like he did on his debut. I agree, Sharpie. I mean, do you think Russell Martin will be here for the Celtic Cup fight? Yes, I do. Kings. I think he's here for the whole season. I genuinely do. He ain't going anywhere, mate. He ain't going anywhere. CJ Bucks fan, when will we get the chance to find out if Giga and Cornelius could be a good pairing? And these long balls give me a heart attack every time, and I think maybe Suter that has to make way. I don't think Suter's the issue, mate, because Cornelius hasn't got a lot of pace. It seems weird though, because Giga's on a season-long loan, isn't he? He's here on a season-long loan. We'll come back to the team in a minute. He's on a season-long loan, and he ain't playing at the moment. Now, I would say, have Wolves kind of not put any sort of term in his contract in terms of he has to play a certain percentage, of games? Obviously hasn't. It just seems weird to me that we get a player on a season-long loan who we're not going to buy and we never play him, and now we bring Cornelius in, and I don't know, it just seems a very odd situation to me. Maybe he thinks we should try three at the back. We've got Fernandez, we've got Giga, we've got Suter, we've got Cornelius, we've got Nsiala still at the club. Maybe try three at the back because it might be different, especially as you've only got one left back. Why isn't he playing Curtis? Mickey Moore isn't for me. I agree. Mikey Moore is poor. Mikey Moore is a very poor footballer. I had a really interesting comment from a Spurs fan sent me a message during the week after something I said about Mikey Moore. He said this: Spurs fan here. I've never seen it either, really. He's got ability, but his generational tag is just ridiculous. He's a talented young player. That's it. I'd be amazed if he makes it at Spurs long term. So, this wonder kid, as Sharpie says, a lot of Spurs fans don't see it. A lot of Spurs fans are saying he ain't no wonder kid. They're saying he's a good footballer, but that's it. He's now special. So I don't get it. I don't get that wonder kid tag that Mikey Moore seems to have been labelled with either. I don't think he is a wonder kid, if I'm being honest with you, buddy. I think he's a decent player, but he's not a good player. He's no better than Finley Curtis. To me, Curtis is a better player than him. I think he is. Finley Curtis is a much better player than he is. I think Curtis has got a lot more potential to go even further in the game than he does. More reminds me of Lee Martin under Le Gueno. And remember him? Yeah, again, good shout. Not a player that ever achieved anything. I think there's very similarity there. I thought I don't want to see Moore starting, but then I don't want to see Theo starting either. I think Asgard does start. I think Asgard was all right at the weekend. He played okay. I think the English press are just looking for their version of Lamal from Barca. True. Should be playing Curtis. He'd give us all... Right. Arguably, they've got the new Lamar at Liverpool, haven't they? Rio and Gamoa. Should be playing Curtis, but he'll give all for Rangers. He's one of our own. I agree, Michael. And I don't know, mate. As I said a number of times, go back across my videos. Look at what I've said previously. Play some of the kids. They'll try a lot harder for this club than some of those players we've signed. It's 100% the case. 100% the case. Someone who's come through our system, and he's a Rangers fan, has grown up with this club since they were 7, 8, 9 years old, is going to care a hell of a lot more than someone we signed from Spurs on a loan who realistically is here for one season and knows he's only here for one season. So yeah, I agree. Mikey Moore should be nowhere near the starting lineup. I'll be honest with you. I would send Mikey Moore back. I don't see it. I genuinely do not see a player in there. I don't see a good footballer in there. I just don't see it. Genuinely do not see it. Genuinely don't see it. I hope Raskin starts tonight as well. Luke 46 says Curtis was scoring goals, then he got dropped. I know. Seems ridiculous to me. Seems absolutely ridiculous to me. Guys, we have got a poll running. Please vote in our poll. Currently, the poll stands that Rangers win is 63%, Genk wins 16%, and a draw is standing at 21%. I'm already worried about Spurs coming to watch more and heading back down the road with Curtis. Good shout. Good shout. Getting back to my team for tonight. So Tavernier will start right back just because Aarons is a joke. Aarons is an absolute joke. The guy's a joke. I don't know why we haven't cancelled his loan and sent him back. Possibly when Sterling gets back, maybe we do that. Maybe we're just hanging on to him because we haven't got any backup if Tav goes down injured. Better safe than sorry. I don't know. Suter and Cornelius, I think, will start at centre half because they kept the clean sheet at the weekend. Did all right at the weekend. Yes, those long diagonal balls do worry me because the lack of pace really do. So, but I think they're probably our best two centre backs at the moment. Giga seems to have lost all confidence and is a bit of a bomb scare. Fernandez, I don't know what is going on with Manny Fernandez. We sign him for £3-4 million and never play him. I don't get it. Magoma will be left back. Why will Magoma be left back, guys? Because he's the only left back we've got at the club. That's why he will be left back, because we've got nobody else at the football club who can play left back at this moment in time. I suppose Clinton and Ciala might be able to. A midfield three then of Raskin, Asgard and Diamonde. I think he'll go with a very, very similar midfield. Luke says Asgard looks slow. Mate, Dio's slow, Asgard's slow, Barron's slow. We haven't got any pace in midfield. Raskin's probably the fastest. He's quite quick over like 10 yards, 20 yards. I don't think he's fast over a sort of whole pitch side. But yeah, I agree. I'm not saying he's anywhere near the same class, obviously, but Curtis is that kind of spark that a young Ian Durant had when he first got in. Curtis is all... Yeah, I agree. 100%. That's the team he has to play. Played pretty well, though. Aarons is another player. Everyone was saying, oh, yeah, Aarons is really good. Yeah, he was when he... I think there's a lot of people that... Aarons is one of those players, I think, that when he started his career, he did look really good, but he's just lost all confidence and has gone backwards. He hasn't developed, I think, as a lot of people thought that he was going to develop. I think there's a lot of people out there thought Aarons will be a lot further on in his career now than he is, and he's gone backwards rather than forwards. So yeah, my midfield, Raskin, I think he'll go with the same midfield because they competed on Saturday. They did all right on Saturday. The only possibility is there is you bring Barron in for Diamonde, possibly. That's a possible, I suppose. My one worry is he brings Joe Rothwell in, and somehow brings him into the team. Whether that's my big worry, and look, I think if I'm kind of praying that even Russell Martin can't be this stupid, is that he drops Raskin to the bench and he plays Rothwell over Raskin, just because he'd say, well, Raskin got back in the team because Rothwell was out injured, and it was Rothwell's place to lose. That is kind of what I could. That worries me. That worries me. You know, that he'd be that stupid, because he is that stupid. I don't want to see Rothwell back in the team. On the bench, he'll probably be on the bench, because he ain't going to go into a game without his favourite Joe Rothwell, is he? So, look, Leeds fans, any Leeds fans, CJ Buck says, I'm not watching if Rothwell plays, Owen, I mean it. Good shout, mate. Look, Leeds fans, any Leeds fans catching this or watching this, or if you're a Leeds fan as well as a Rangers fan, please, somebody tell me, Joe Rothwell, why, what, how is he a footballer? I don't get it. I don't see it. Do not see it. Do not see it. Sorry, he is that stupid. Don't bet it in that. Yeah, absolutely. So that's my three in midfield: Raskin, Dio, and Asgard. I just think Raskin has to play. He runs the team. He runs the games. He controls the pace, and we just looked so much better going forward. Yet on Saturday, yes, it wasn't perfect, but his energy, his pace, his strength, the fact that when he gets the ball, his first thought is, let's move forward, let's go forward, let's pass forward, let's run forward. It's not turn round, pass sideways, turn round, pass backwards. That's Joe Rothwell. That's Joe Rothwell. He's backwards, sideways boy. We don't want backwards, sideways boy. We want forwards boy. We want Raskin in there instead of Joe Rothwell. Gassama has to start on the left. Gassama was superb on the left. Gassama was superb on the left on Saturday. I thought he was very, very good. He does the one thing you've got to have in a team. You know, he goes at players. He tries to beat a player. He tries to go round a man. He tries to create something from nothing. So for me, Gassama has to start. Got to play on the left. That's where he did best on Saturday. He played really well there. JD Gassama. He's the sort of player who you want to watch. He's nowhere near as good as this guy, but he's a Davy Cooper-esque player, isn't he? He's a player that gets bums off seats. He's a player that will go at people, run at people, like Davy Cooper used to. So he's definitely an exciting player. He's a bums off seats player. So to me, he's got to play. He's got to play. Gio says, if that's the case, season tickets for full guaranteed. Raskin starts for show, says Emmy, let's hope so. Miovski has to start up front. Miovski scored on Saturday. His confidence is going to be sky high. You can't drop him. You can't start Chimiti tonight. I did see someone suggest that maybe Chimiti starts tonight and they rest Miovski for the weekend. I think that would be a massive, massive backward step if he did that. I think that would be just stupid if he does that. Raskin changed. He did, absolutely, Luke. He was the better player by a mile. He makes the team tick. He makes the team tick. He's the Rodri. Manchester City were awful last season once Rodri got injured. You know, he's the Gravenberch. He's the what's he called? Declan Rice. You know, he's that sort of important. You know, as important as Declan Rice is for Arsenal, as Ryan Gravenberch is for Liverpool, as Declan Rice is for who else? You know, Rodri is for Manchester City. Raskin's that important. Raskin is that important for us, and he's got to play. Ant-Man on the right. Look, Ant-Man hasn't been great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that first game against Plitzen, he plays. He looks great. Looks brilliant. Then he gets coached by Russell Martin, and he seems to go backwards. So I don't know. So for me, he's got to start. He looked really good on Saturday when he came on. He ran at those players. He caused trouble. He caused difficulty. I'll be honest with you. I do think he'll start Mikey Moore today. I think there's probably something in his contract that means he's got to start, which is stupid to agree. You should never agree to that. When you loan a player, you should never agree that he plays a certain percentage of games, because what if he comes in and he's shit? What do you do then? You've got to keep playing him because you've agreed that. I mean, to me, it's ridiculous. It's a stupid idea. So Ant-Man for me starts on the right. That's a team I would go with. 4-3-3. I'd love to see, as someone put in the live chat, I'd love to see, a Mike Bassett-esque 4-4-2. Of course I'd love to see a 4-4-2, but it just doesn't seem to happen these days. No one seems to play a 4-4-2. Not anymore. It never seems to happen. It seems to be a dead formation. It seems to be that, if you want to play a 4-4-2 at any point, you are a dinosaur. You are someone who went out, who died off when the dinosaurs died off. You are just nothing. You shouldn't be involved with football. You're a Luddite. But I do think that a 4-4-2 for me would look great. Out there. I mean, if we went with something like this, as a 4-4-2. I'll put it in the live chat in a minute. I think this would work really, really well. I think it really would work really, 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 really well. This would be my 4-4-2. This would be my 4-4-2. I mean, you feel free to disagree, but my 4-4-2 would be Butland, back four, Tavernier, Suter, Cornelius and Magoma, midfield four, Finley, Curtis wide right, Raskin and Asgard in the middle, Gassama on the left, Danilo and Miovski, you know, as the starting attackers. Why Danilo? Because Danilo can play as a 10, he can play as a winger, he can drop, he can be a bit more mobile than just having two players up there. I don't think Chimiti's got that in his game. I don't want to see Miovski having been forced out wide. I want to see Miovski go through the middle. Michael says, what else have we got? Rothwell, to me, is as effective as Ian Black without aggression. Nothing at him at all. Up there with the worst midfielders in our history, top three. I agree. Genk drew against Bruges, so it won't be easy, says Luke 46. That was at the start of the season when their form wasn't too bad. Rothwell is always blowing out of his arse after 20 minutes. Agreed, he is. He looks really unfit. What has RM actually achieved to be a Rangers manager? He's a bang average manager suited to the English Championship. He's out of his depth. Michael, I agree. You don't have to preach to me about that. He is absolutely 100% out of his depth. You know, I don't understand it. You know, how a manager that's never achieved anything in the game can get the Rangers job. You know, you can argue Clement was a shit manager, but at least Clement obviously won Belgian leagues. You know, won league titles in Belgium. You know, Gio van Bronckhorst won the title with Feyenoord. Yes, Michael Beale had it. Michael Beale was a desperate move. Steven Gerrard, yes, he hadn't achieved anything as a manager, but as a player, he'd won the Champions League, he'd won the FA Cup, he'd won the League Cup. You know, he'd won trophies in England. He was a successful guy. Russell Martin hasn't even got that on his CV. He's never won anything. So what happens if we get beat tonight? Loop, nothing. He stays in a job. Nothing happens to him. Fans will call for him to be sacked. It ain't happening. It ain't happening, buddy. Rothwell looks like someone you see at Silverburn, pure gym. True. Loop, regardless of, yeah, he needs to go. I agree. Don't know who's that funny. Nothing wrong with 4-4-2 in my eyes, says Raven Effect. I agree. Again, not in the same quality, but to this team, Raskin is what Davis was to Gerrard or Walter Smith, and what Barry was to Dicker and Big Eck, and Walter has to play. I agree. Great point. That is a great point. Raskin is undroppable. To me, Raskin is absolutely 110% undroppable. If you drop Raskin, you automatically set yourself up to fail, I believe, with this team. I genuinely do believe you're going to fail. You're going to fail badly. To me, if you don't start Nico Raskin, you know, because he is such a good footballer. The quality that he has to run a game, to control a game, is there for everybody to see. You know, I genuinely believe that he is someone who has to be in that starting lineup from minute one. For the rest of the game, you cannot leave him out. You cannot leave him out. We just finished off the poll. So the poll is, what was the result tonight? 64% of you saying Rangers win, 22% saying a draw, 14% saying a Genk win tonight. A few comments coming through. Gio probably won more medals than Gerrard as a player. He probably did. I agree. Did he play for Arsenal, Rangers, Feyenoord, Barcelona? Yeah, I agree. Gio was more successful as a player, trophies wise, but I suppose the thing you'd say is that Gerrard played in the Man United era, the Sir Alex Ferguson era, so it was difficult. Him dropping Raskin cost us points. I agree with that point. Yes. Okay. Right. Let's see. We're gonna have a poll. Right. Let's have a look. I'm running a poll. Right, so here's the poll, right? Right, so the poll is Martin. So my comment is Martin, right? Right, it is Martin. A gets sacked before Christmas. B gets sacked in the new year. C stays the whole season, then gets sacked once the season is over. Or D is still here next season. Vote in the poll, guys. Let me know your thoughts what you think in the poll. If Raskin doesn't play, don't think we'll get a result. I agree. I think Raskin is that important, to be honest with you, to this team. He is that genuinely important. He really is. He has to start every game. He has to play every game. As long as he's fit, he has to start. And that includes at Livy at the weekend. That really does include Livy at the weekend. So one thing to just quickly note as well, guys, before we talk a bit more Rangers, is the Europa League obviously started last night. Got underway last night. The Europa League did. Sobo says stays the season purely due to the current board, but should be sacked ASAP. I agree with you on that one. Right, so the games that took place last night in the Europa League. There was a few games took place last night. So Maitland beat Lincoln Red Imps 5-1. Oh, no, I didn't. Ignore me. I'm talking shit. Maitland beat Rangers' next opponents, Sturm Graz 2-0. PAOK 0, Maccabi Tel Aviv 0. Malmo 1, Ludogorets 2. Braga beat Feyenoord 1-0. That's a bit of a shock. Real Betis 2, Forest 2 last night. Freiburg 2, Bâle 1. Dinamo Zagreb 3, Fenerbahce 1. Sacking Mourinho didn't do them any good. Crvena Zvezda 1, Celtic 1. Like I said, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Beating Crvena Zvezda like we did. And Nice 1, Roma 2. Roma, to me, are one of the favourites for this tournament. They really are. They're a good side, Roma. They've got some good players in that side. They are a team, I think, to watch this season. We've got them as well. In this season upcoming. So yeah, they're a decent side. They're a decent side. I think they'll probably be one of the best ones. Mark Williamson says out by Christmas the new manager gets the transfer window. Janet says rather he went just now, but if Christmas is the next best thing, that would be present and a half. It would be. I don't, like I said, my vote would actually be is here next season. That's what I would vote if I was going to vote in the poll. I genuinely believe he'll still be here next season. I honestly believe that he will get this season no matter what. Wrong? Yes, 100% wrong. 100% wrong. But I think he gets the rest of the season for definite. Games tonight. Go Ahead Eagles play FCSB. Lille, complete with Hamza Igerman, go up against Bran. Ferencváros v Plitzen. Salzburg v Porto. Stuttgart, they're another good side, play Celta Vigo, another good side. Utrecht v Lyon, I think Lyon will be a force this season. Rangers Genk. Villa play Bologna tonight, that's a big game. Bologna are a very, very good side. And Young Boys play Panathinaikos tonight as well. Obviously Panathinaikos, who lost to us in the Champions League qualifiers. We could face them in the knockout rounds. The Raven Effect says, would Nuno Espirito Santo be considered a good replacement for Martin, defensive manager but gets results? I would take Nuno Espirito Santo in a heartbeat, buddy. In a heartbeat. He's a good manager. A very good manager. He did better. I mean, you've only got to look at how bad Wolves have been since they sacked him. Or since they lost him, they've not done well. They've not done well. I personally would be looking at Nuno Espirito Santo as a really good candidate for the Rangers job if Martin was to be sacked. Now, like I said to you, I don't think Martin is going to get sacked. I think that Martin will still be here this next season. Just my thoughts on things. That's what I genuinely believe will happen. I mean, I might be wrong. I hope I am wrong. But I just look at the board, what they've been saying, and I kind of think that they're going to get away with it. They're going to get away with it. I really do. I really do think they're going to get away with it. I'd take him, says Stuart. Yeah, I'd take Nuno. Like I said, I would take Nuno Espirito Santo as well. I think he's a very, very good player. Very, very good player indeed. A very good manager, sorry. Who's Igman loser? Says Janet. I'd take him back, Janet, in a heartbeat. Would take him back in a heartbeat. Would love Igman back. Was very badly treated by Russell Martin. Really badly treated by Russell Martin. Thrown under the bus. Put in a difficult position. Get that. Look, guys, predictions for tonight. What are you predicting for tonight? What is your score predictions for tonight? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to go Rangers 3, Genk 2. That's a random prediction, but I'm going to go for it. 3-2 tonight. We'll just see what odds I'd get on that at the bookies. But yeah, I think we'll win. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think they'll score. They've got some good players going forward. They've got some some decent players going forward. So I do think they'll probably get a goal. But look, I honestly believe that they're not that good a side. They're not that good a side, and I honestly believe that will have enough to beat them, even with Russell Martin as our manager. I still believe we'll probably have enough to beat them. I mean, You know, you look at their team that they played at the weekend. Lawal in goal, don't know a great deal about him. You know, I know that Heinen's a good player. I know that Harovsky's a good player. Ito's a good player. Arabi's a good player. Stoikers. So their front four, Stoikers, Harovsky, Ito and Arabi, will be threatening. They'll be decent. They'll do well against us. They really will. So, yeah, I think that's decent. Predictions. Emmy says 3-0 Rangers. Mark Williamson says 2-0 Rangers. Stuart Henderson says 2-1 Rangers. Miovski double. I'd take that all day through. Janet says, think Rangers will scrape a 2-1 if Raskin plays. I agree. If Raskin plays, we win 2. I think if you play Raskin, you've got a better than average chance of winning. I really do. Really do believe that, guys. Really do believe that. Right, guys, thank you for watching this afternoon. We've been obviously talking Rangers ahead of tonight's game. Let's hope for a good result. Let's hope for a better performance as well by the boys in blue. Guys, thank you so much for your support. It's been phenomenal. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep this club moving forward, more importantly. Guys, I'm sick of being shit. I'm sick of moaning about the club. I'm sick and tired of having to make videos where you just moan about the club. It's doing my head in. Really is. I want to start doing positive videos. I want to start doing winning videos. I want to start seeing us win trophies. I want to start celebrating things. Let's just get that win. Another 2-0 says Raven. Raven Effect, I'll take that. Let's fucking win. Good day, Owen. Good day, Emmy. If we lose to Livingston, our players having the fight to face up to it will end up in a relegation fight with Aberdeen. I agree, Michael. If we don't beat Livy at the weekend, 100% we'll look more ahead to that game as we get close to it. Cheers, Owen. No problem, Stuart. Cheers, buddy. We'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe and smash the like on the way out. Thank you. Catch you later.